I think we need to have a chat. And it's probably not what you expected when you clicked this video, because you're probably thinking to yourself, yo, C-Preds, you don't normally do videos like this. You don't really do We Need to Talk very often. But I think it's necessary here. I'm still at Vegas and Call of Duty Next. You guys could probably tell just by everything that's going on. And in about 10 hours, I'll finally be on the way back home to the East Coast where I can make some content again. But before we get there, we just got to talk about the future of Warzone, what's going on, because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of things that need to be talked about. And being here at COD Next, I want to use this opportunity just to talk about the game, the future. And honestly, if you are somebody who you want to know about the new Resurgence map, I have a lot to tell you because I'm one of the few people that has played this map on 2 separate days. So I have a lot of information about it, what actually happened at COD Next, what I believe the future of Warzone is. So class might not really be in session, but get your notebooks anyway, because ladies and gentlemen, bots and sweats, we got a lot to talk about. Okay, so first of all, I am in a hotel room in Vegas. There's not going to be so much production on this video, although there will be B-roll. There will be some graphics that my editing team is going to put in the background to kind of give you guys some context. And I am recording this from an iPhone as well as my MacBook. So I apologize if the quality isn't that good, but this is the best we could do for right now. I'm going to pull up my notes on my MacBook as we go, because I spent really a few hours thinking about this video, just making sure that I have everything that I want to talk about and that I don't miss anything. Here's what we're going to talk about in this video. We have 4 parts. Part 1 is just going to be, what is this video about, right? First of all, we got a new Resurgence map, Haven's Hollow. I was actually able to play test it and was flown out. I was not able to talk about it until now. So if you're like, dude, how could you hide this from us? Well, there's this thing called the law in being a professional, and we had to uphold that. But I will talk about what that experience was like. It's nothing bad or dramatic, don't worry. So if you're like, oh my gosh, just wait. But I do want to talk about that, because now that I can, I'd love to. We're going to talk about Avalon, the future of Warzone and Black Ops 7. And I'm not going to spoil everything, but outside of that, we're just going to talk about the future of my channel. Once again, nothing crazy dramatic, but there might be some changes that you guys are going to want to take a look at and stay tuned for. Okay, part 2 is going to be what it was actually like at COD Next. So a lot of people have this idea of what it's like to be at COD Next, but they don't really know, and I want to actually talk about what it was. Once again, there's really nothing dramatic here, but I just think people need to be informed about what actually goes on at these things now that I've had an opportunity to do it. Part 3, we're going to talk about the future of Warzone, if I think Warzone is dying. Is Warzone dying because Blackout's coming out? That'll be part 3, as well as the timeline of Warzone, what we know, and what I'm concerned about or excited about. And then part 4, once again, is the future of my channel. So let's start with part 1. Before I get any further into this, I just want to say this is not a sponsored video. These are all my own thoughts. And if you're like, why are you looking at your notes on your Mac? It's not because somebody told me I had to say anything after this. Heck, I don't even have to make this video. Right? That we don't have to do this. I think the reason I want to do this is just seeing everything on social media and seeing your guys' comments and wanting to address them all at once. And this is not like some sort of drama or like Activision tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you better make a video and make us look good, because that's actually not at all what the case is. And so we're just going to explain all of that. But let's hop into part 1 here. So part 1, we have a new Resurgence map, future of Warzone, Black Ops 7 content. So I just want to say this. There's a lot of people talking about how Warzone is going to die, and it's the end of Warzone as we know it, because this was just the worst thing ever for COD Next. And I'm just going to tell you my overall thoughts on it. If I were a multiplayer player, I would probably be feeling like a good 8 out of 10, right? There's fresh camos, weapon prestige, wall bouncing. Game looks fun. I had fun playing Black Ops 7. I would feel really good for multiplayer, and I will be creating content on multiplayer this year, whereas last year I dropped the ball and I kind of just kept playing Warzone when there wasn't any content there. We will be creating on multiplayer, and I'm pretty excited for Black Ops 7. Now, if I were a big map player, Battle Royale, I'm just gonna say it, I'd be feeling maybe like a 1 or 2 out of 10. I hate to say it, but only 2 POI changes for Verdansk is just abysmal. It's just not it. And if I were somebody who I play big map all the time, I would not be feeling very good about Call of Duty Next, about just the future of big map, being that I have to wait 7 months for Avalon. Now, something that people have asked me, did you guys know about this? They actually dropped that as a surprise And we did not know about the blackout mode. We did not know about Avalon, and we did not know about the Rebirth refresh or anything like that. Now, whether I continue to know things in the future, not sure whether you guys will be able to know, right? But I don't know really anything now about it. You know, none of the devs came up to me and said, hey, this is the big old plan for Avalon, right? All we know is that they've been working on it for quite some time. They're excited about it, and they think it's going to be kind of like the next thing for Warzone this year. We have to see, guys, what it looks like. I really don't know, but right now, if I was a big map player, if I were a big map YouTuber, I would immediately go and play Rebirth Island solos tomorrow and upload Rebirth. That's how I'm feeling about it. And I think there's this big push and pull between big map and Rebirth, where it seems like Rebirth gets updates one year, big map doesn't, right? People felt like with Urzikstan being a repeat for Black Ops 6, that they were just getting robbed of content, where now Resurgence players for Black Ops 6, when Verdansk came out, felt like we didn't get any content. And in talking to the devs, one thing you guys should know is that it kind of feels like Call of Duty is so big that it's kind of impossible to update all the modes as they should be, right? With Raven, I believe, double dipping on things like the campaign and Warzone. Now that Raven has the ability to tune attachments outside of the game, they don't have to start over with quality of life updates on Warzone every year, and they have some more control. I think Warzone should be in a better spot overall, and I actually like that they did not add wall balancing to Warzone. I'll just say that, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here because we're going to talk about that later. But part one is just like overall how we feeling here. If I'm a Resurgence player, I think I'm at like a 6, and not to drag the meme, but maybe a 6, 7, right around there. I don't think I'm like an 8 or 9 because I want to know what changes are coming to Rebirth, right? In talking to some of the developers, they weren't able to really say much, right? Because they have their legal precedents they gotta, and also Call of Duty staff, right? They would love to talk about this stuff, but you can't go and ask Call of Duty staff, hey, what's the Rebirth refresh? What's that look like, right? Because they're not allowed to say that. They want it to be a surprise, or it'll come out when it needs to. We don't know how everything's going to pan out for Resurgence and Rebirth. But I feel a lot better knowing we have a new map. Rebirth's not going away. There's going to be casual still in the game. There's still going to be ranked Resurgence. We're getting all these quality of life. We got perks that were modified. You can still use your old weapons. And there's changes coming to Rebirth very soon. Whether it be, I don't know, right? But I heard from people at the event that it was either going to be for, whether this be Halloween update or whether this be the future stuff, Rebirth Island is going to be a part of the plans. And I think that's the move. Having Rebirth be a focal point and then rotating in other maps to keep it fresh is probably the best thing for the player base. And that's always what I've said when asked for feedback. And I think it's just cool for me knowing that developers cared enough to come up to me and ask my opinion and say, hey, we watched the content. Thank you for covering this. Like, they actually watch my content, which I don't know. I think that was shocking to me just because I don't think of myself as anything crazy. You know what I mean? For them to even care to just get my feedback and hear from you guys, because ultimately I have this platform to tell Call of Duty what you guys want, right? That's why I'm here. I'm not here because I have a beard or because or anything like or because I make some YouTube videos, right? At the end of the day, I'm here because Call of Duty wanted to value my input. I make content, people enjoy it, and so with that comes the responsibility of passing along what you guys want. And so that was a cool experience for me. Now we'll talk about what feedback do I give, because I think there's a lot of people under the impression that like somebody like myself can go up and say, hey man, I really want wall bouncing in the game, and then it's in the game next week. And that is like so far from the truth, right? And like, I don't feel like you guys in the YouTube comments have been saying that. Like, I feel like a lot of people were like, dude, that's awesome that you got to go. And I was actually surprised that so many people were like, dude, it's so awesome you got to go to COD Next. Like, congratulations. I was expecting a lot of people to kind of be like, hey, how dare you go? And Call of Duty does care about what the player base thinks. And they will... A lot of people say, hey, how come all these streamers and YouTubers get to go to these events, but they never ask average people? What they don't realize is that Call of Duty does ask for players' opinion. There's a lot of ways they do it. I don't know if I can say how or if I even know how, but I know for a fact that creators are not the only ones, right, that give input on maps like this. And so I think it's important for people to know that. But we're kind of yapping here. That's my overall We're going to be doing a lot of yapping here, actually. That's my overall thoughts on just like, if I were to rate everything out of 10, right, where we're at. And you might be wondering, hey, why aren't you rating zombies? Guys, let's not pretend like you guys saw me in the stream. I'm not qualified to talk about zombies, right? That is kind of the overall thought from COD Next. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm giving Big Map a 1 or 2 out of 10. Resurgence, I think I'm around a 6, and then multiplayer like an 8. Okay, part 2. What was it actually like at COD Next? Was I paid to be here? And what does it feel like to be a creator in this situation? I was kind of starting to talk about this, guys. I feel like, one, this was an awesome freaking opportunity. I was not paid to be here. But obviously, I'm biased, right? I want Call of Duty to be good. I'm always going to try to see the good because I enjoy the game. And while I'm not paid to be here, if Call of Duty does well, my channel also will naturally do better, right? There's no denying that. But there is this, I think, pressure on social media. Even, and I was getting killed in some of the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook comments of like, bro's a paid actor to be there. And I think you just gotta, like, what I'm learning is I'm not even 2 years into doing this as my job, right? And if that's the comments that some people are gonna leave, you kind of gotta ignore people when they just comment stuff like that. What I really want to do is if somebody comments something and it is legitimately criticism or feedback to me as a creator, and I can see that they meant it with intention, I'm always going to take it seriously. If somebody says, hey, I don't really like how you delivered this, or I don't like this video, I'm always going to listen to that. As long as there's like some sort of criticism in there, right? Or if it's a longtime viewer. Dude, there's so many of you guys that comment on every video of all age ranges, right? There's like people that are 16, there's people that are 35, 40, even 55 that comment on a lot of videos. And if it's somebody that I see coming back and that is a member of the community, I'm always going to value their opinion. Because at the end of the day, this is only you guys are the reason I can do this, right? But I think just ignoring the 30% of like slop comments that are on social media, like, oh, we're gonna be on Battlefield 6, lol, bro. I'm gonna be on Battlefield 6 too. Like, people don't realize that I have worked with both Battlefield and Call of Duty, right? EA and Activision, and I work with both, and I've worked with multiple games. People don't understand that, like, just because I primarily do post Call of Duty isn't saying, hey, you better not work with Battlefield, or like you're in trouble, right? And that's not to say that that's everybody's situation. I don't know, right? And it's not for me to comment on other creators' situation and whether they have deals, yada yada. All I know is that for 99% of people, right, Call of Duty doesn't say, hey, please go on TikTok and pretend to be excited and pump up the new map. That is just not how Call of Duty does things, right? So what was it actually like at Call of Duty Next? That I feel this pressure from like the larger COD community to like say negative things, when to be honest, like when it comes to Resurgence, I don't have a whole lot of negatives. I will talk about them though, because I think it's important, right? But I'll tell you what, like when we go to these events, right? When I got to play this map early, what did I say, right? And I'll tell you, I actually felt I was a little too critical, out of almost like this fear that like if I was too soft or didn't give feedback, then I wouldn't be given an opportunity to do it in the future, from like a standpoint of why are we going to invite this guy who doesn't give any feedback, right? And I think that's a normal pressure, but I don't know why I felt that. It's not like somebody was like, hey, if you mess this up, you're never coming back, or if you say the wrong thing, right? Working with Call of Duty, a lot of people think that you have to say certain things. I've never felt that. I've felt that from the larger COD community. Like if I'm excited about something, people will be like, must be a paid show. But at the end of the day, there's worse problems, right, than somebody to be commenting negative things online. You can just shut off your phone. But I do think I felt this pressure of like trying to use the opportunity wisely and not mess it up. But it wasn't because of anything Call of Duty said. In fact, everybody from Call of Duty that I interacted with, devs, like the influencer team, like nobody was like, you better go make a video on how Rebirth's back, right? No. But I do feel this pressure to like properly use the opportunity and be appropriate. And I think for me, I'm just a 6 just covers the score, right? Like I'm optimistic about things coming to Resurgence. I think we're going to get some cool stuff, and we're going to have a lot of content, and that helps me. I'm excited, and I'm excited that everybody gets to play the new map. When I was giving feedback on the new map, like I said, I was pretty critical, and I wasn't sure that you guys would actually like it. Like the Rebirth community as a whole, wasn't really sure. But looking at some of the changes they made, I'm feeling a little bit better. When we play tested it, The colors were not as vibrant. It was really hard to see things on the tactical map. There wasn't a lot of buy stations. And we still don't know a lot of what's coming. Is there going to be zombies Easter eggs? I don't know. I have a feeling there will be because it's linked to zombies, right? Are they going to support this map and update it? I don't know. A lot of those things could shift my score higher, right, if they end up playing out. But I don't really know. At the end of the day, I do feel like when we gave feedback while we were playing this map early and at COD Next, it was taken seriously. A lot of people think too that a lot of us creators, we go to these events and we don't say anything because we want to get invited again. And I felt like the fact that people were coming up, asking opinions, giving us an opportunity to talk about what we said about the map. I didn't think that I was ever going to be able to even mention that, but the fact that I was told, hey, you can mention that you tested it in the feedback that you actually gave. No, I was actually surprised that we were able to do that. So that is the feedback that we gave as creators was mainly around making the map better for you guys. They made some good changes. It's important to understand that the build that we played is not final. It'll probably be smoother. Might be some changes to movement, but from my understanding and conversations, there's no wall bouncing in Warzone just like we played there. And I'm happy about that. I was pretty adamant that I didn't think wall bouncing was going to be good in Warzone. And I stand by that. And some people are like, that's a hot take, bro. This is how creators are ruining the game. We don't get new things. I fundamentally believe that Warzone as it exists now is a pretty solid product and should continue as it is in terms of like just the movement and just getting more content. Things like the combat role are cool. I want to see more stuff like that. The heat map that's coming to Verdansk, super cool. And camos this year will be great. More camos than we got last year. I truly think that Modern Warfare 3 was kind of like, that's how Warzone should be, right? That Modern Warfare 3 Warzone was it. Now, a lot of people have asked me, hey, what's going on with Vandal Ashika? I just want it to be known. I've put out there multiple times to anybody that would hear my feedback from Call of Duty that I really want Vandal back. And I just want you guys to know a lot of other creators have said the same thing. We want Vandal back. Please update Rebirth. And it seems like the devs are responding to that. But you got to keep in mind that it's not like, oh, creators get in a room, give feedback, and then the next day there's changes in the game. It's going to be months, right? These things take projects. I think people think that something like Purgatory with MW3, I think you guys got to realize that was probably worked on for months. Make something as cool as that. So that's my ultimate hope and kind of what COD Next is like, right? Sure, it is super cool hanging out with a lot of creators. Like you guys know, I was telling you, like you guys saw me gaming with T-Dog and Expel. But like we were hanging out with Timmy Toucans the whole weekend. Got to meet a lot of creators. Got to meet people in person for the first time. You know, like fellow YouTubers like Sally is a Dog and talking to people like J God and Merc Music and just honestly so many. Like I'll miss people if I don't name them, but like so many people, man. Just like a lot of the homies too. Like you guys probably know a lot of them. And like this is an awesome experience. That's what COD Next is, a lot of networking. It's a lot of hanging out, meeting people, talking to people. But it's just cool to be able to play the game and give feedback. Like that's why we're here at the end of the day, right? So that just clears that up for people who are like, what's actually going on there? And is anybody giving feedback? Because I see a lot of people saying that like creators don't get feedback. They just don't know. And they're just commenting on that, right? I really don't know too many people here that didn't give feedback. And some people gave a lot of feedback. And shout out to like people like Expel and Stone Mountain 64 and Iceman Isaac. Do a great job of showing how to do it every time. Part 3. Is the future of Warzone bright? What does the timeline look like with Blackout, Avalon? Is Warzone being split up from multiplayer? I think one of the biggest things that I'm taking away from COD Next is that it looks like Warzone is being split off, right? We have different movement right now. Attachments can be tuned differently for the first time, and we don't need to start over from quality of life changes. That's huge, and I think that is a sign that yes, Warzone is splitting off. Will Blackout replace Warzone? I don't really know. It seems like it's going to be like an LTM, and Verdansk and Rebirth are going to stay in, but there's going to be a reskin Rebirth, and then Haven's Hollow will stay in the game. I don't really know, but it seems like the timeline is in the spring. We're going to get a huge update around the time that like GTA 6 is supposed to drop, and then we're going to get some sort of Warzone integration, probably the very end of November, or like the first week of December with the new map and season 1. Black Ops 7 drop in, mid-November. I think if you're going to be playing, oh, why did my camera just zoom out here? What the heck? Anyway, I think if you're going to be playing all these games, you do have a lot to look forward to. I really do. Will that play out? I don't know, guys. There's a lot of unknowns, but Warzone is not getting deleted. Rebirth is not getting deleted, right? There's a lot of clickbait and miscommunication around that. That is all we know. We did not know about Avalon, and I'm excited to see what happens with it. For my opinion on does the future of Warzone look bright? I think if you're a big map player, it looks really bad right now. I think if you're a Resurgence, you're kind of waiting and seeing. If you're multiplayer, you're stoked. And then you have Modern Warfare 4, which I personally am kind of excited for. DMZ coming back, DMZ on mobile as well. I think DMZ is going to be huge next year. And so the future of like Call of Duty I don't think is ever really going to be in question, right? Call of Duty is largely successful. And when people say COD is dead, I think there's this idea that it's like, it's almost like the hot thing to hate on COD. And so people can get views by doing it, just like I can get views by putting out a great video. If I work hard at that video, I'll be rewarded with views. And if people talk about hot topics like COD dying, they'll be rewarded. That's just how people's channels work and how things are. At the end of the day, I am just hoping for a great product, and I want you guys to know that the people at Call of Duty, they want the game to be good. Like in talking to devs, they're super passionate, and there's this conception that the devs misconception, I should say, that the devs and staff are like out of touch and don't listen. Whether you believe that is up to you, but from my firsthand experience talking to devs of every team, it's just simply not the case. It's just not. And so I'm not concerned about the future of Warzone. And some people might be like, well, this is a hot take, blah, blah, blah. I'm just genuinely not. And at the end of the day, if I was, I'll just keep it a buck with you. If I wasn't enjoying Warzone, I would go upload another game. And for you guys, I'll tell you straight up. And a lot of you guys know this. If you're like, yo, this is chalked, Warzone's done, feel free to play another game, man. Don't play a game that you don't enjoy. But for me personally, I love Warzone, man. That's what I started on as a creator. It's going to be a part of what I do regardless at the end of the day. And when it comes to the future of this channel, we just got our 3rd channel, More Seapreds, monetized. Go check it out. We're going to be posting Call of Duty probably only there. And we're going to be mixing in variety on main channel, especially as we wait for Warzone. So no, I'm not going to stop streaming and uploading Warzone, but we are going to mix in some things. DMZ, Battlefield Battle Royale, Arc Raiders. I'm even going to try like other BRs for videos. I'm just going to put out the best videos I can, whether it be Warzone or whatever. And if you guys are like enjoying the Warzone content, it's still going to be here. We're also going to be putting Warzone content on the 3rd channel, More Seapreds, which just got in the YouTube partner program in like 7 videos, which is crazy. 2nd channel, we are going to be mixing in Battlefield, Black Ops 7 there as well. I want to do some Portals customs on the 2nd channel. So is anything really changing here? No, but I am going to be mixing in variety. Now, I hope you guys understand. Excuse me. I think it's because you didn't like and subscribe yet. Like nothing's changing here in terms of me just like quitting Warzone. But I do think mixing in variety is just going to be good, man, because I make Warzone content leading up to season 1. There's just not as much to cover and talk about and not as much new content. And so for that reason, I will mix in variety, but we're not going anywhere. Warzone, I don't think I'm ever going to stop posting on my main channel. I don't see a world in where Call of Duty isn't posted on my main channel, like at any point. But will we mix in some videos? Yeah, for sure. But the focus is going to be just on good content, right? Whether it be playing zombies for the first time or playing Battlefield 6, playing every Battlefield and going back and doing that. Arc Raiders for the first time. Shorts of like GTA and Red Dead, GTA 6 in the future. That's the plan, man, because I love to just push myself for new content and find ways to do new things. And to some extent, you got to step out of your comfort zone. And I'm not going to ever play anything I don't enjoy or think is bad content. So that's really what it is, man. Hopefully you guys enjoy kind of the chill talking about Warzone and some perspective here from my perspective. I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Ask any questions you have. We could always make a follow-up video on this before season 1 of Warzone and kind of like as we go. But thank you guys so much for the support, man. I wouldn't be at events like this without you guys. There's going to be 2 more videos on your screen, and we will be back on the East Coast very soon. So I love you guys. As always, stay humble, stay hungry. Click some of the videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.